Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. It is time for another lecture brought to you in part today by Coach Hughes, me. Welcome in. What a hectic couple of weeks that we've had here in what we call school now. All of you listening out there today probably have chosen to be virtual students. But of course, me, your captain on this ship going through this newly incarnated world is teaching a little bit of both. I've got traditional students, I've got virtual students, and I've just got people watching this video for the heck of it. How are you guys? We've made it through really two chapters of ancient world history, the Stone Age. Caveman! And we have moved on to what our lecture is going to focus on today. A little bit beyond the caveman. And the word of the day, complex. Keep that in mind. The word of the day today is complex. Welcome in on another lecture. This is Ancient World History. This is Chapter 3. And this is all about civilizations. Wax off. Yeah, I've been watching a little Cobra Kai here lately. So come on, Netflix, Season 3. I need it. So let's jump in to another lecture, shall we? Because I know you are interested just as much as I am interested. Keep in mind, all of this can be found in Canvas under modules. And these notes that you're seeing on your screen, along with my handsome face, will be what I pull questions from for your upcoming Chapter 3 test. There's a couple of ways that you can view these notes now. There is just a hard copy of notes for traditional kids. There are virtual notes, already completed notes, that you can just read through if you just need to do that. There's just the PowerPoint, and then there is this lecture that you are hearing today, because some people are auditory, some people are visual for the PowerPoints, and some people just need to read. So let's get started, shall we? This is Chapter 3, Section 1. You're going to have a quiz on this material, so make sure that you are paying attention. Eyes, ears, everything, focus. If you're looking for the online version of the textbook, if you just want to read through Chapter 3, Section 1, it can be found on pages 58 through 61, although I'll make it a little bit more entertaining just for you out there in virtual world. Textbook online can be found in Canvas under modules for all my students here that have tuned in today. Okay? So, without any further ado, let's get started. Remember, the word of the day, complex. That is the word of the day. So, let's get started with this PowerPoint, shall we? Let's get started from the beginning. Well, that was last time. This is not at the beginning. That's the Stone Age. But so anytime I say remember one, keep it noted. That's probably because it's going to be on the test and or the quiz or both. Okay. All right. So in your head, imaginary circle A, because you're going to have to know this. And this is also found in the vocabulary, also located in Canvas under modules. So civilizations, or civilizations as I say it, is the word of the day, along with complex. Civilizations are complex. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. It's so complex. Complex societies with cities, governments, art, class divisions, and even a writing system. I have to move my picture up because it was kind of intruding on the PowerPoint there. So, civilizations, they've got all of these things that are very complex. Cities are complex. Governments, extremely complex. Look at 2020, man. Art, I like it. It's art. Religions are complex. Class divisions, oh my gosh, complex. And have you tried learning a different language? What's up with Mandarin, man? That's complex. So you've got all of these things combining to form civilizations. And that's complex. Key word for today. Okay. So all of these things, cities, governments, art, religion, class divisions, and even a rotting system, all of them thrown together, you have civilizations. Or a fun way to say it, civilizations. Oh, wax on, wax on. I'm watching too much Cobra Kai. Okay. So early people settled where crops could go. Not go, but grow. Crops usually grew well near rivers. Well, hey, everybody's got to have water. So all of these cities are going to have towns, villages. You've got to set up near a source of water. Okay, so all of these early ancient civilizations are going to start near a water source. You got to have water to survive. Most of your body, you scientists out there, most of your body's made up of water. Okay, so you've got to have that. Okay, crops do too. They can't grow without that. You die. Okay, so your body has to have water, but the food that you need to eat has to grow near water. So all of these things. So, where water was available and regular floods made the soil rich. Flooding is kind of key. Now, you see on the news, flooding very, very bad. Okay, you don't want to build in a flood zone. But in the ancient world, when it floods, you have all of these things, all of these nutrients, all of these fish that get out in this land where the water is not normal, flooding. And then when the water recedes, you got some dead fish that kind of fertilizes the soil, which is really good for crops, which is really good for you because you would in turn grow crops and bada bing, bada boom, you've got some good farmland. Okay. So very, very, very important. All right. Moving right along. All right. I'm freaking out, man. Like the screen is like all moving and stuff. Just stare at it. Just, I mean, don't have a seizure though. Okay. But remember, the word of the day is complex. So if you look at this screen, this is a picture. This is just a picture. But if you look at it, if you concentrate, if you just stare at the picture, concentrate, this picture looks like it's moving. It's complex. And I want to kind of show you this. Now, this is, of course, an optical illusion, but I just want to get in your head the word complex. Civilizations are complex. It's made up of a lot of things, as we saw in the previous slides. Governments, religions, art, writing systems, all those things are very complex. But you got to have an understanding of the word complex in order to understand just how complicated civilizations are. This picture is not moving, but it is. Look at it. It's moving, but it's not. It's complex. So that's the key word. If you don't understand the word complex, you're going to have a very difficult time understanding the challenges that presented itself in a civilization. So I know you're still freaking out. Don't have a seizure on me, okay? But let's look at this next picture. Here's what I want you to do. How many dots? How many black dots do you see? There's so many. They're flashing in my eyes, and oh, there's actually zero. there are no black dots. But the way the picture and the boxes are set up, it gives you, again, the optical illusion that there are black dots, when in fact, they're not. It's complex. It's complicated, man. I don't want to get into it. You've got to understand that word. Key word of the day is complex. And when you understand that civilizations are complex, like these last two optical illusions are, you kind of get the better idea of what we're talking about. Okay. So civilizations, complex, got a lot of different things. They've got cities, they've got art, they've got rotting, they've got religion, and probably the most complicated and complex things, governments. So keep that in mind. Now, the growth of civilization. So let's talk about Mesopotamia. A lot of people have trouble, including myself in a former life. Mesopotamia, know this for the quiz, know this for the test. Mesopotamia was part of a region known as the Fertile Crescent in Southwest Asia. Now, Mesopotamia is a Greek word, but they're not Greeks, but it is a Greek word for the land between the rivers. You got land, you got river on this side, you got river on this side. Okay? In this case, it's located in modern day Iraq, modern day Iran, the Middle East. Let's bring peace to the Middle East, shall we? That's the region we're talking about. And you had two rivers. You had the Tigris and you had the Euphrates. And in between the Tigris and Euphrates, you had this land, this ideal land for complex civilizations. Why? Why in the Middle East? Can't we get like Hawaii, tropical paradise? Why? Well, this is kind of where everything really starts. I mean, even as we move forward, this is kind of the start point of ancient world history. And what you have here is you have an ideal location. You have a river on this side, you have a river on this side. These rivers flood. When the flood waters recede, you've got all this good fertilizer from dead fish and other things that were in the river, and your crops, they grow like crazy. Whoa, did you see the size of the corn there? Do they have corn in the Middle East? That's a good question. I'll have to look that up. Okay. Now, circle D. You have to know this. This is a quiz question. It's a test question too. So floods in Mesopotamia were frequent. Happened a lot. Happened a lot. But they were unpredictable. I mean, really, you never knew what was going to. Where'd the water come from? I'm a computer screen. Oh, I'm gonna have to call our repairman. Man, look at that. Where did the? It's unpredictable, man. You never know what's gonna happen. The computer's going crazy. Please don't die, computer. That's what happens. I'm trying to fix it now. It's going crazy. You got to know this. Unpredictable. In this area, these two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, they flooded frequently. Happened a lot, man. And when we get squirted with water again, unpredictable. It's unpredictable, man. Man, I'm drenched in water. That's what happened. They were frequent and they were very, very unpredictable. Every year, floods on the rivers brought silt. It's kind of like gold in this time, but not gold. It's a mix of rich soil and small rocks that was ideal for farming. Farmers love this. The fertile silt made the land ideal for farming. You had ideal farmland. You were in between two rivers, never too far from a drink of water or frequent and unpredictable flooding. But the water source, the food source. This is ideal for the start of civilizations to develop. And this is extremely important. This is why that we talk about civilization that starts right here. I feel like I'm soaking wet now. Idea. This is ideal for the growth of cities, governments, art, all of these things, because the number one thing that we learn from chapter 1 is that if your belly is hungry, that is all you're going to think about. Where is your next meal coming from? But with the Neolithic time period and the farming revolution and people starting to farm and stay in one place, no longer nomads, you had this ideal situation develop right here. You had a water source, not one, but two, Tigris and Euphrates rivers. It flooded frequently. It was unpredictable. It had silt in it when the water recedes. Ideal for farming and ideal locations for water. This is where the civilization, one of the many civilizations, kind of all started at the same time, started. And that's why it's the water source. It is the silt that happens from flooding. All of these things are ideal. They're frequent and unpredictable. Silt, mix of rich small soil, small rocks, ideal for farming. Water sources, Tigris and Euphrates rivers on both sides, ideal. Now, farm settlements formed all over Mesopotamia in this land. The Greek word, Latin, between the rivers, all in the middle there. Farmers grew all kinds of things, wheat, barley, other types of grains that you make bread from. Livestock were there, birds, fish, all sources of food. All of these things combining, ideally, for my tummy is all full. I don't have to worry about food anymore. Feed me! Don't have to worry about that. Now, when people realized, hey, I don't have to go hunt anymore. I don't have to be a nomad. We don't have to uproot and move around every so often, every couple of weeks, every couple of months, and look and search for food. We're staying in one spot. With that, no F, plentiful food led to a population growth and villages formed. Why? Why population go up? Well, think about this. A lot of your parents have probably even alluded to this, although I'm sure they didn't practice this. It's called free child labor. Hey, do the dishes, clean your room, take out the laundry, take out the garbage for the love. Free child labor. If you're working on a farm and you have all of these crops in order to survive, it can take a toll on one person. So, anybody ever seen Bringing Up the Bates? They got like 17 kids. 17, 18, 19. I don't know how many kids. Bringing Up the Bates, they got a lot of kids. Some of these shows that you watch on TLC, the Duggars, all right? All of these families have large families, and nobody can realize, hey, it's 2020. Why are you having so many kids? I can barely get by with 3. But it was not uncommon in this time period to have a lot of brothers and sisters. That was free labor. They worked on the farm. That's why populations went up, because I'm tired. We got to have some more laborers. And I don't want to pay them. I'll feed them. Free child labor. That's why populations went up. Eventually, these early villages developed into the world's first civilization. Right there in the ideal location of Mesopotamia, the Greek word that means land between the rivers. Tigris, Euphrates rivers. Ideal for society. Now, crops grew well in Mesopotamia. You had that fertile soil, that silt from flooding. Because farmland was fertile and water was nearby, early farmers faced the challenges of these floods are frequent. They're happening a lot, and they're unpredictable. We don't know when they're going to happen. So early farmers faced the challenge of learning how to control the flow of rivers, control that river water to their fields in both rainy and in dry seasons. It's great when it floods and you have all the rain, but when it's dry, you go through a drought, you need water for your crops or the crops die. So they had to think. And one thing that I want you to keep in mind as we go through this ancient world history is, are you different from the people that lived a long time ago, or is your technology just better? And I think you're going to find out that we're not that different from people that lived long ago, but our technology is extremely effective from what it was back then. And what they called technology and what we call technology are two totally different things. Their technology did not necessarily have to be electronics or anything like that. It could be something as simple as channeling water. Never did it before. Now, flooding, it destroyed the crops, but they also needed the water. It also killed livestock because it was unpredictable and frequent, and washed away homes. So they had to figure out how. We need the water. We appreciate the water, but too much water, too much flooding, it's headaches. We've got to control it. So when flooding destroyed crops, when it killed livestock, it washed away homes, when water levels even dried up because they were too low because of droughts, they started to think outside this box here. We've got to come up with a solution to control the water. Now, to solve their problems, circle C in your head, they use something called irrigation, a way of supplying water to an area of land. I need water over here. Hey, bring the water over here. How? Hands leaking. Good question. So, one of the first things that I did when I was young and I stayed at my granny's was she had a garden. And one of the things that fascinated me and my brother was she dug like a big channel. Just dug it with a hoe. Okay. Then she put a water hose at the end, and the water flowed until me and my brother, we made dams and we dammed it up. And then she would yell at us, but shh, don't mention that. Okay. So they dug out large storage basins. They held water in a location. Then they dug canals. They channeled it. Let's go water this way, that way, and this way. These canals connected to the basins, to different networks of ditches. Rivers are different because they are natural. These ditches brought water to the fields and watered grazing areas for cattle and sheep, and it also was a good way to water the crops. It was kind of a man-made small river, these canals were, these ditches. Okay. Same principle that my grandmother did. She would take a hoe and dig like a channel in between her beans or crops or other things, put the water hose in, and it worked well until my brother and I we were playing. We dammed the water up. It was awesome. It really was. Okay. Now, because irrigation made farmers more productive, because now that they can control the water, they can have more crops. More crops equal more food. They produced a surplus. It's like going to the grocery store in America today. You go in there and you've got all of this food to choose from and buy. And in some countries, they don't even know what a grocery store is because they don't have that food supply. Some people became free to do other jobs because farmers were now so effective. because of their technology of canals. That's a technology. Because they were so effective, they had free time. So we got a lot of food. Remember, the number one thing is if your belly's empty, that's all you care about. Where's your next meal? But if you have plenty of food and your bellies are full, you're like, kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. I'm bored. So they got a little bit bored. And for the first time, people started to do other things because they had free time. They were bored. They started to think outside this box. They did not have to worry about food anymore. So they started doing other things. Started out small, craftspersons. This is not knitting and sewing. This is like, you know what we could have? How about a little pottery? What if I make a little bowl and we put the food in a bowl or a cup and forks and spoons? That could be craftsperson, guys. It started out like that. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I need plates, I need bowls, I need forks, you call them? I need those things so I can eat with. Well, great. How about this? I will make you this. You give me a little of your food because I'm not a farmer anymore. Trade, barter, all of these things started to develop because people had other times because of the canals and ditches. People became religious leaders. They focused on religion really for the first time. And, of course, our favorite thing, governments that told you what to do, which is so ironic even today. You, the hard worker farmer that are producing crops to feed everybody, now people are becoming government officials and they're telling you things to do for the first time. Interesting. Now, this type of arrangement, circle G, no G, test question, quiz question. This type of arrangement in which each worker specializes in a particular task or job is called division of labor. It's kind of like college. You go to college to learn to be a teacher, an engineer, a doctor, a nurse. You are specializing in that field. Or you learn a trade. You go to trade school. You learn how to weld. You're specializing in that area. Hairdresser, you're specializing in that area. Division of labor, the ancient day of college, or what you want to do for a living. Even back then, people had to make that decision. Oh my gosh, I'm going to graduate in like 5 years, and I don't have a plan. I what am oh I've got I'm going to live in mom and dad's basement. Wait, they don't have a basement. I can be an engineer. Yeah, takes a lot of math. Oh, math. I can be a car salesman. Whatever you want to do, specializes in a task. Mesopotamian settlements, they grew in size. Their population was getting bigger because the farmers needed large farmhands, children. And when you have more people, it gets really complex, the word of the day, because then you have more people. Those people have different opinions, different ideas, different ways to do anything, and it gives you a headache because some people don't agree with you, which is fine. They have these different of opinions. But it is complex. It is complicated. Most people continue, though, to do farm jobs because people don't like change in general. I'm a farmer. I know what to do. I'm going to continue to do it. You had to think outside the box to be in that division of labor where you specialized in something other than farming. But most people had rather just stick to what they know best. And at this time in history, this was farming. I can farm. I can plant seeds. I know how to build canals. I can do this. I'm good at it. Good. Do that. But now we have this division of labor and people are starting to branch off. and do other things. And it all stems to better cropping, growing crops better. That's what it boils down to. Cities became more important places. People traded goods in cities. If you're not a farmer anymore, you still got to eat. So you started trading things, skills for food. And remember, most people are still farmers, so you have plenty of things, or plenty of people, I should say, to trade with. Cities, oh my gosh, circle, Jay, remember, Jay, cities. If you went to the city, it kind of looked like that picture there. It was walled around for defense. It was near a water source. The river sometimes went right down the city, but they were complicated. Political, complicated. Politics started to develop. Religions, different types of religions. People doing things their own way. Culture. And when trade and barter started, now you got something else to deal with. It's called an economy. Money and different forms of money and what you're trading for. Centers of Mesopotamian civilization were the cities. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that concludes Chapter 3, Section 1. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's lecture. Okay? So, with that being said, you have a quiz on that material. So, make sure that you read the notes in Canvas on modules, go over the PowerPoint, or quite simply, play this lecture over and over until you know that civilizations are complex. The word of the day. I'm Coach Hughes, signing off. Have a good one.